fuck out of here!
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
All right, welcome to the GTFOH Show. I'm your host, Matt Billon. This week's episode is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the son of the former Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. Sounds stupid just saying it out loud. I've heard this rumor for a few years now, and I've always laughed at it because it sounds so outrageous. But when you start looking into it, there's a little bit of evidence. There's Justin. That's Fidel Castro. That's Justin. That's not Justin in a Halloween costume. No, that's Fidel Castro. So, there's a little similarity. I'll agree with that. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, probably say, holy fuck, that's the father, 200 times. But before I get into any topic, I like to make sure I'm not going to waste my time. I like to go onto the fact-checking website Snopes. Well, Snopes says it's not true. Justin is not the son of Fidel Castro. For that reason alone, this is worth looking into because Snopes is full of shit. Let's start at the beginning with Justin's parents, Pierre and Margaret. Let's go.
Canada's highly unorthodox bachelor prime minister, 51-year-old Pierre Elliott Trudeau, seems the dream politician. He's a model of statesmanship, with a quick wit and a parliamentary presence. A man who plays and teases. He has a stable of lovely ladies, but none holds his attention for long. Then, on a holiday in Tahiti, he meets Maggie Sinclair, and they are wed. Free-thinking Pierre, free-spirited Maggie, who is something of a flower child.
I think that there was a beautiful revolution happening with the flower children, or the hippie movement of getting back down to earth. And I'd hate to, if this life destroyed that in me, it would have destroyed, I think, the best part of me.
And so they settle down to a quiet domestic life, to live happily, but not for long.
Okay, they kind of brushed over this. She was 18 when they met in Tahiti. He was late 40s. They kept their relationship secret for 3 years up until they got married. Then the general public found out. Canadians didn't even know that they were in a relationship. So they married when she was 21. He was early 50s. So there's a 30-year age gap. She was a hippie, love child, part of the sexual revolution, young, enjoying life.
You can't please everybody, so you might as well please yourself. I just really like to go out dancing or go out and have a pizza, or just go out and drive around in the rain at 2 in the morning.
Driving around? At Toronto's El Mocambo, Maggie celebrates her wedding anniversary without Pierre. While he minds the kids, the flower child wife of the Prime Minister is partying with her favorite rock band, the Rolling Stones. Maggie gathers no moss, and the gossips have a field day.
So when you married Pierre Trudeau, you were in your early 20s.
I was.
And tell us what that experience was like, because from what I'm reading about you, you were kind of out doing your own thing, and you were considered
I was a totally free
spirit.
Free spirit. I think that was one of the charms that Pierre chose me for. And then he tried to put me in an ivory tower and cut me off from everything, and it was all protocol and all very stuffy then.
Yeah.
Really. So.
Maggie Trudeau, one woman who's rethinking the basics. Only 6 years after their secret wedding, Pierre gets the kids and a boost in the popularity polls. Maggie gets her freedom.
Well, here we are with our own little midnight rambler, Margaret Trudeau. This is her book, by the way. It's called Beyond Reason. I've read this book. It's as honest a book by someone in public life as you probably will ever read, I would suspect. There's not a lie in this, is there?
No.
No, you can tell. Because, as you said, the lawyer said the only person who could be sued from this book would be you could sue yourself.
Yes, for defamation of character.
Let's talk about some of the people that you had your paths crossed with. For example,
I think he was going to ask her who she had sex with.
Let's talk about some of the people that you had your paths crossed with, for example.
Which isn't a weird question if you look into the memoir. That's all it was about. She had sex with Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, Jack Nicholson, Geraldo Rivera, Ryan O'Neal. She even says in the memoir there, describes a 1974 affair with Ted Kennedy, saying they met at a state dinner in New York. That evening I felt such a pull towards him that we couldn't even stand within a couple meters of one another. Pierre was not amused. Well, yeah, you're his wife. Anyhow, so that was a little backstory. They get divorced due to her infidelity, but she did not cheat with Fidel Castro. No, that's out of character. There was no infidelity. That was a pun. All right, let's get Fidel into this.
Did you feel comfortable when you were, most of the time, this is a generalization, but when you were at state dinners, like when you went to the White House, when you were in China, when you were dealing on this high level, did you ever really enjoy yourself?
Oh, I had a lot of fun.
What are the happy memories, the ones where you transcended the protocol, where it didn't make any difference? Would Cuba be one with Castro?
Oh, yes, we had a lovely time in Cuba. Wonderful.
What is this thing, though, that Canada and Cuba have? They seem to have been flirting with each other for quite some time.
I think flirting is a very good word.
Consider this, he says, of all the U.S. presidents and Canadian prime ministers Fidel Castro saw come and go, he only really built a rapport with one person, one prime minister, Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Pierre Trudeau was the first leader of a Western industrial nation to step on Cuban soil.
A not-so-subtle arrival in Havana in 1976.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. 1976, if this was the first time they met, well, that doesn't work out. That's 5 years after Justin was born. But it's actually not the first time they met. It took me a while to find it. It was a Globe and Mail article. 1970 was actually the first time they met. There was a big issue in Canada over the FLQ had kidnapped a British Trades Commissioner, James Cross. Well, Trudeau government reached out to Cuba asking for their help. Fidel offered refuge for Pierre Trudeau. And it makes sense. Canadians didn't even know Margaret existed. Didn't even know that they were dating. She goes with them to Cuba. Well, that's when they first met. That would have been right into 1971.
Just the two men stood at attention while the national anthems were played.
The greeting could hardly be more effusive, making the whole thing so much more awkward back home. The Prime Minister, it seems, not the only one in the family charmed and content to be in Cuba.
That's Margaret Trudeau, and I can't figure out if she's smiling more at her child or at Fidel.
Well, I think that the chemistry between both Trudeaus with Fidel was very good. And in the first book, which I remember reading, she said that Fidel was the sexiest man she'd ever met, and she spent the whole time flirting with him.
I don't think I need to do much more on this video. I think we're almost done. If there's anybody doubting it by now, I don't know what to do.
A thought she absolutely repeated when asked.
Oh, what a charmer. And you know why he's in power. He has got charisma coming out his ears. What a charmer.
What are you doing in Canada?
Yeah, I'm here to nail Margaret Trudeau.
Been there.
And then. All right, this next section, this is where the rumors all started to begin with. Back when Fidel Castro passes away, well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau puts out a glowing statement saying what a revolutionary leader he was. Weird to say that about a dictator. Or is it your father?
Frankly, when I saw this statement come forward, I thought it was a hoax. I couldn't believe that this was actually true. I thought it was on the Onion, Mr. Speaker, or the Beaverton in Canada, I guess. I actually had to double check to make sure that it was true, but you know what? I shouldn't have been surprised.
Do you think Fidel Castro was a dictator?
Yes.
Today, Justin Trudeau's comments about Fidel Castro. The Prime Minister is defending a statement he released where he called the former Cuban president a remarkable leader and set off a storm of outrage. In 1976, then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau visited Castro and was roundly criticized for befriending a communist dictator.
It is indicative of Canadians' desire to maintain an independent foreign policy. There's something for us in trading with Cuba.
It's quite an amazing scene.
When Castro attended Trudeau's funeral in 2000, he and Justin Trudeau shared an emotional embrace.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is being sharply criticized for his praise of the former Cuban president.
And now he's getting his own serving of criticism for his eulogy that said, while controversial, Castro was a legendary revolutionary and orator who made significant improvements to Cuba's education and healthcare systems. Others were not so admiring.
I'm really happy, that Fidel is responsible for the death of a lot of people.
Opposition leader Rona Ambrose said her prayers are with Cubans who continue to endure Castro's long and oppressive regime. Around the world, pundits and politicians are calling Trudeau a fool and worse. Senator Ted Cruz called his eulogy disgraceful, and Senator Marco Rubio asked if it was a parody.
Okay, so we're never going to find out the actual truth. But what we do know is he looks a lot like Fidel, a lot. He doesn't look like his father, Pierre. His mom cheated on Pierre many, 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 many times. His mom found Fidel the sexiest man alive. When Fidel passes away, Justin gives him a glowing eulogy when he's the Prime Minister of Canada. I did that face app to see what it'll look like when you're older. Then to top it off, I went online, just found another picture of Justin and his family. Look, even his kids are looking like Fidel. So, who knows what the truth is? But if we were to ask Maury, what would he say?
You are the father.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please click subscribe, click the notification bell, and please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Is Fidel Castro Justin Trudeau's father? Thanks a lot.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
That's one small step for man.
Get the fuck out of here.
One giant leap for mankind.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.